Hi, I'm Sarah, and welcome to Sarah Appreciates. If this is your first time here, I have stage 4 breast cancer, and this is kind of my channel where I keep up with friends and family, let you know what's going on in my life. And I've recently been watching She Hulk. And if you're not new here, welcome back. And this is going to be talking about She Hulk, Attorney at Law. I've been enjoying this show. I don't think that it's done yet. I think that I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but I do expect that the finale will be coming up soon. Light spoilers here, nothing that's going to give anything away that wasn't in the show's actual trailers itself, because I encourage anybody who thinks that this is their cup of tea to go ahead and watch it. This show right now is streaming on Disney Plus. And each episode is just a bit over 20 minutes, not quite 25 minutes long. So, like I said, it's a sitcom. Real short. They go down like Kool-Aid. I've really enjoyed them. Let's see. So far, it's starring, and I hope I don't mispronounce her name here, Tatiana Maslany. Maslany? Okay, so I'm just going to call her Tatiana. I think she's fabulous. I know her from Orphan Black. Orphan Black, she used to disappear into each role that they gave her on that show, and I was just, she had so much fun doing it. I couldn't help having fun with her, even when they were very dramatic, serious scenes. She had a really good time doing them, you could tell. And this is no different, because anybody who's been a fan of Orphan Black and sees her in anything else, it just feels like you're seeing another orphan out there. Hello. And you just can't help but eat that up a little bit, like it's this ongoing story still, right? So anyway, she's completely inhabiting She-Hulk. She's like nobody else that I've seen her star as. Tatiana's doing a fantastic job with her. If I had any She-Hulk complaints, and this I might discuss a little bit later too, the CGI. But like I said, I can talk about that later. Anyway, Jamil, I think this is my favorite thing I've seen her in. She is doing great in the role of Titania, and she's another strong girl. But I like that. I think that Disney foresaw a little bit of the girl bashing that was going to happen here with a lot of the critics. Especially like YouTube critics, they're kind of fun. Some of the ones ripping on this show, because it's just these grown men that obviously this wasn't necessarily made for them, and they're not actual film experts. So what they're critiquing is just stuff that they personally, it's not for them. It's kind of like me trying to review World Wrestling Entertainment, right? It's not my cup of tea. I've been to like one recording of World Wrestling Entertainment. I hadn't slept the night before, so I went in. The lights were really bright, so I had sunglasses on. The guy behind me was kicking the back of my chair the whole time. I was like, please, please, could you stop? Trying not to sound like a Karen. I asked him twice. It just made him kick it harder, so I stopped asking. Uh, I really think that this is not necessarily everybody's thing, and not everybody's going to enjoy going there. So if WWE doesn't sound like that's a fun time, it's a bunch of stunts. If you've never seen it before, WWE, it's a bunch of stunts that have been coordinated and really practiced hard. And so every fight has a predetermined outcome. They know who's going to win and who's going to lose. They have this really thin line of storyline sort of interweaving between the fights to sort of give the fights a reason to happen, but nobody's really mad at each other. They're just working, they're actors and really stunt men and stunt coordinators, stunt women, and they're just doing stunt after stunt after stunt. It's not actually supposed to be violent. The only thing that's unscripted are the actual accidents where people really in real life get hurt and then have to go to the hospital, but that's one of the risks. And I think that that's one of the exciting parts for it, for some people who enjoy this kind of entertainment. But again, this isn't my cup of tea. If I was going to review it, it would, I would, it'd be the lowest rated thing on television, right? I'm not the person who's the expert on whether or not this is a good thing or which ones are good and which ones are bad. I'm going to just say the whole thing is just not my thing and let someone else review it, right? Well, there's a handful of reviewers that love to hate on Disney's properties. because they're SJW and anti-bunny, if you don't know what SJW is, because I make these videos for friends and family. SJW is social justice warrior, and that's like feminism. They're anti anything with social justice. Like, they might come across a little racist, they might come across a little misogynist, and kind of proud of it. So that's the whole SJW thing in a nutshell. Well, of course, they saw this female attorney at law, 7 foot tall green lady, and they're like, "Wah, it's going to be SJW." And she's really not that feminist. I think the most feminist thing she does is a couple of times they might have shown her carry a guy into her bedroom because, yeah, she's not really seeing anybody, but she is a little bit sexually active in the show. There's a couple of guys that she likes, but other than that, I find it actually a really fun show, and it's like all Marvel shows. You have to kind of suspend your disbelief because it's going to be improbable situations with superpowers and all kinds of unbelievable situations happening, right? So you don't have to believe She Hulk is real, and she doesn't have to be perfect to be believable. And I just don't think that this is written for every guy. My husband and I, like, I turned 50, he turned 51 this year. So, like, we're enjoying it. Maybe it's written for more like for people like us, like families or whatever, but I don't think it's written for these big guys that just want like brute action and stuff. Like they kind of did an homage. Here's a little spoiler. They bring back Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. Yay! Daredevil's back. And who knows? Maybe they're teasing him. Maybe he'll come back in a movie. I would love that. So anyway, they sort of did a throwback to one of his in the original series of Daredevil. They had him go down this hallway that's kind of reminiscent of Old Boy, where he just goes one shot down this hallway and does this amazingly uh, this fight blindfolded, and it's all just choreographed amazingly. It's all one shot down this long hallway of guy after guy, and a door breaks, and all this just like violence happens, and it's amazingly choreographed. It's beautifully shot. It's one of the highlights of Marvel, well, the MCU, period. It's one of the best scenes, hands down, from the MCU, period. Okay, so they did this scene and it was amazing. And they were going back into it in She-Hulk. They had this scene where he was entering this hallway and there was a bunch of guys that were going to come down. He had just beaten up like a whole bunch of guys, and it was reminiscent of this scene. They were doing this one shot thing, this one long shot, and they turn around and it's just like the other shot, and kind of like it was a little bit reminiscent of that first season of Daredevil, where the door gets busted and these guys fly out and She-Hulk is just like lands poo and kind of wrecks the scene. That was, I think, specifically written for all these guys that were going to be like, I hate her, blah, blah, blah. It was a moment that you could love to hate her, right? You're about to see Daredevil do his thing, and she just like, I don't know, kind of hulks out and kind of wrecks it for it. You can, anyway. That was a really fun scene. And if you don't let yourself have fun with these things, it's just going to wreck it for you. So if it is your thing, you have to suspend your disbelief. You have to let things go. You have to let things like Daredevil, this badass, you have to let her it's her show. She jumps in on that scene. And yeah, it's not Daredevil's show. It's okay. It's a sitcom. You're supposed to laugh. It's funny. Relax. It's funny. I feel like the people that aren't enjoying this, maybe they just don't remember how to have fun. Because I've found it just a heap of fun. It's been so much fun. Like, it was even in the trailer, I think, when Hulk has her by she's trying to punch him and he grabs her head like a little kid trying to punch their big brother, and he has more arm length. I just think those kinds of physical comedy kind of cracked me up. I'm okay with it. It's all right. It's a sitcom. It's not meant to be taken quite as seriously as like Guardians of the Galaxy Gotta Save the Universe. She's a lawyer. She's choosing. She doesn't want to be a hero. She represents bad guys in court. She likes to drink. She likes to party. She went through law school. You could just picture it, how she went through college, right? Like just drinking and partying and that she's a smart girl that did the work too. She got herself where she is. But she's not that serious of a character where it's not like Batman where he's sat sullen and then went and trained, like she's had a few self-defense classes. They've really not overpowered her so much as just given her this superpower. Now what do you do? And so she spent a little time with Hulk to kind of, okay, you got this super ability, just, manage it well. But then after that, she's cut back into the world and just trying to be a lawyer. That's what she's trained for. And I think that people expected this to be more of a superhero thing, and it's just not. She represents a lot of bad guys or superheroes that do, get caught doing damages around the city or whatever. She's not your typical Marvel show. And in 30 years of marriage with my husband, who was a comic book collector since before I met him, even those comic books of She-Hulk that he's collected over the years, she's not your typical comic either, because She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall. She's always been kind of sitcom centric. She's never been the most serious, intense character. She might have had storylines that went that route, but overall, She-Hulk was not. She-Hulk is kind of known as this kind of party chick, she's goofy. Her covers, go look up covers of her comics. Um, Look on Google Images. She's a cut up. She's silly. She's fun. She's a fun person. So just let yourself have fun with her. And if you can't, it's not your thing. Why bother? I mean, there's a guy that goes, I'll link below, Critical Drinker. He does movie reviews, and his character that he does them in is drunk all the time, like he's constantly drunk. So, of course, he says the things that you might not say or even think when you're sober. And that's how he does his movie reviews and show reviews. And it's funny. But these guys that take it so seriously, and they're not just playing a character, it's like they're so angry at Disney for changing these intellectual properties. And I'm angry about the Luke Skywalker thing too, by the way. That's a whole nother video for some other time. But I just gotta say that not every female character, it's getting really obvious when it's every property that stars a female character. They're like, it's feminist. It's bad. Especially if it's anything to do with like science fiction or fantasy or whatever. Like it's like they're gatekeeping. They have to have only cool guys and sexy girls. That's it. That's it. And you can't make any of the, you can't, no feminist ideals, no social justice, anything. They just want, I don't know, what do they want? Like WWE? Just a thin line of a little plot, but mainly just stunts. What do they want? I mean, because this is a half-hour show, and Disney, the way that they contract they don't in-house their animation for CGI. The CGI was contracted out and probably given like time constraints, and it was probably given to like someone who probably underbid the project because that's what they do, Uh, CGI isn't easy. So if she's popular enough to get into a movie, when she returns for another season of her show, if she ever does, I hope she does, they'll be better. If she gets to a movie, they'll be forced to really CGI her for real, for good, and then they'll have those templates to bring back to her show. And that's how you get that improvement, support that kind of thing. And if it's not your thing, quit whining about it. It's not your thing. It's like seeing these grown men break down over the Little Mermaid. Stop it. It's all this stuff. Any point you were making that might have been a good point about the overdoing the social justice stuff, it all goes away when everything is an issue, right? Like if everything sucks, then maybe it's just you know, because not everything sucks. But according to them, if it's well, some of these I kind of agree with, like Arya killing the King. Why the White Walker Frost King? Why? Yeah. So I don't know. I enjoy She-Hulk, but she's like a 20-minute show. They don't have time to do all the stuff that they did like in WandaVision. They were already characters in the story that were already established, so they didn't really have to do that with like Wanda and Loki, for example. They got an hour. This is 20 minutes. So people need to kind of, I think, patience, have a little faith that the people making it love the work that they're doing. I know that the lawyer vibe and the breaking the fourth wall vibe, they kind of went with a little bit of an Ally McBeal vibe, but as an Ally McBeal fan, I was a former avid watcher of Ally McBeal. This isn't really that. So don't don't compare the two. They're very different shows. Very different. I don't see them as all that similar. I can see where maybe it helped them as writers get started, but I don't think that they ran with a full Ally McBeal, so don't worry about that. Uh, I don't think that a lot of the complaints about She-Hulk are all that valid. She's not very social justicey. In fact, she's defending a lot of the villains because that's her job as a defense lawyer. I think that you're going to end up just seeing a lot of teases for future plots and characters that are coming up in movies that if you want a backstory, you can watch She-Hulk. She'll always be there if you want that backstory. But and spoilers ahead potentially, I think Red Hulk is coming, and I think it's based on, they've been teasing in this show so far that there's some type of organization after She-Hulk's DNA. And I think that they're teasing that we're going to get Red Hulk and how that's going to go down. And probably at some point during that show, they'll mention, oh, back when Jen, blah, blah. Well, if you didn't see that, it's going to be there for you to watch it then. If you're really that curious, you got to see the backstory. You'll see the backstory if you want to. You can watch the sitcom. If you're not that curious, don't worry about it. They got you covered. They'll do some exposition, they'll explain it. You'll get it. You're not going to get left out. My husband cannot, nobody can afford, even if you could afford all the comics that Marvel puts out, nobody has the time to read all those titles. My husband has always just collected the ones that he's specialized in. And that's kind of how comic book collectors are. They specialize in the comics that they read. They know a little bit about maybe like all of them in that universe. But they read the ones that they specialize in. And it's not Pokemon. You don't got to catch them all. You cannot read some or you cannot watch some if it's not for you. And if there is a crossover, like this Red Hulk thing that may come up, they'll explain it. You'll get it. It's fine. It's Marvel. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You don't have to watch them all. So just enjoy the ones that you enjoy. The ones that you don't enjoy, it's okay to say, that one wasn't for me. I'm not going to review that or whatever. It's fine. So just let yourself have fun. I think that so many people in the world today need to take this one little lesson into mind. Lower your guard and have fun sometimes. Just trust that whoever's doing the entertaining wants you to be entertained and just wants you to have fun. The company behind it, they want profits. But the artists making the show, most of them just want to give you a good time. Really. And, that goes for a lot of people that are like writers. That goes for the music that went into it, the CGI that went into it. These people want to give you art. And even if their CGI isn't up to snuff because they had the, time constraints and lower budget or whatever, take it as a gift. This is a gift of art that they've given us, and if we like it and if we can support it enough, they'll get those better templates when they have to put them in movies or whatever. Like, consider the future a little bit when you're watching these shows, that it's not just about who's watching this one series. It's about the overarching thing, right? They got to make a little bit. They're not going to sell Disney Plus subscriptions if they're only catering to you. That's not how you sell subscriptions. You have to cater to other people too. Like this Miss Marvel thing is not for me. It's too little kidsy. It's too girl powery from my, yeah. I watched almost the whole first episode, and my husband and I were just like, you know, not one that we would actually buy or whatever. So it's okay. You don't have to. We'll still understand if she shows up later in one of the movies or whatever. It's okay when these crossovers happen. It's okay when life doesn't give you exactly everything that was built just for you. Life isn't tailored to you, and nor is all the whole world of entertainment or even the whole MCU. It's not going to be all just tailored just to you, but sometimes there's one for me too, or whatever. So, with that said, did you see She Hulk? Do you disagree with me? Do you think it could have been better? What ways could it have been better? I would have liked it to have been longer. I would have liked better CGI, but I explained all that. I would have loved to have more time with Daredevil, but we'll see. I didn't want to do too many spoilers in this. I want people to see it, and I would love for them to see it with a fresh mind, without too many opinions. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at that, I think. So if you have any opinions that you'd like to share, that's fine with me. Go ahead and leave them in the comments below. If you like my content, please feel free to subscribe. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Please be kind to yourself and others. Bye.